governor, he has just about 4.5 hours to do so. The deadline is midnight. In the new editorial, the News and Observer, writing in part, quote, Republican Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson has only one decent option now: quit the race for governor. Once he was obnoxious and mean, now he has become creepy. If Robinson won't go on his own, Republican leaders should explore ways to revoke his nomination. This coming hours after the stunning new K-File reporting that Robinson posted numerous disturbing comments on a pornography website's message boards, calling himself a black Nazi, defending slavery, saying he'd buy slaves, talking about watching transgender pornography, incredible things that we will not say, pornographic posts. Out front now, Dale Falwell, he was a Republican candidate for governor against Robinson. He's the state's treasurer, and this is your first national interview on this story. So Dale, I appreciate your time. Let's just ask you where you stand on this right now. Does Robinson need to withdraw from this race now?
Well, Aaron, normally when we talk about North Carolina, it stands for nothing compares in terms of our financial stability and our growth. But unfortunately, that's not the story today. I never thought that Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson should run for governor to start with, and that's why I chose to run for governor of North Carolina. And after losing to him in the primary, I did not endorse him. The people who selected him to be the nominee are himself, obviously, filing for the office, as well as President Trump and RNC Chair Michael Whatley. Those are the ones who selected him to be the nominee and the favorite, and those are the ones that need to make that decision and make that call.
And so are you hoping then that former President Trump will speak out here in these next hours?
I think that what former President Trump hopefully believes in is the Republican Party that I've observed in the last 50 years. And that's a party that's based on conservatism, common sense, courtesy, humility, humanity, and ethics. And I have not observed in my time serving with Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson that he possesses any of those traits.
So we went through some of the things, and as I said, some of the things that K-File found we are not talking about because we can't. They're inappropriate for a broadcast like this. It's some really disgusting things. But he talked about being a black Nazi. He talked about slavery wasn't a bad thing, that he would like to buy slaves. He posted in pornographic detail about watching transgender porn, which is something that we know already in the past. He has said that transgender people are demonic, and he has said other horrific things like that in the past. Does the K-File reporting that we are hearing tonight fit with what you know about Robinson? Had you heard about any of these things kind of in the ether?
Well, first, if any of that is true, and it's just another example of how Mark Robinson has not only fleeced the voters, but also the taxpayers and the donors to his campaign. And for any of that, any part of that, he should apologize. There's also quotes that came up during the campaign where he stated that rhetorically, if you beat the bird dog hell out of your wife at the mall, is that still considered domestic violence? I mean, there's no part of that sentence that should ever come together in terms of how we view things. And my answer to your question is that, as I said earlier, the things that the Republican Party that I have been a member of for nearly 50 years is based on those qualities that I mentioned earlier, and I've never observed him possessing any of those.
So the deadline, as I understand it, for Robinson to get out of the race is 11:59 p.m. at night. So this news is breaking just hours before the final decision has to be made. So I know that there's a way, if the Republican Party is able to, kind of the bosses of the party are able to approve it, that you could theoretically replace him. Do you think that Republicans can win the governor's race in North Carolina, though, if Robinson does not withdraw?
What I think is that every single person in North Carolina is conservative in some way, shape, or form. Some of them turn their spigot off when they brush their teeth. Some of them cut that toothpaste in two to get that last little drop out. What we need and what we've always needed is someone who can not just explain, but govern conservatively, which means to conserve in a way that people can understand. And that's what we have always needed in North Carolina. And that's why this governor's race is in jeopardy.
So you mentioned former President Trump. So he has not come out and denounced this at all in these past hours. They have sort of distanced themselves from him, saying, "Oh, North Carolina is an important state to win." But the reason that I'm classifying that as distancing is because we know what Trump thinks about Robinson, because he has told us repeatedly in ways like this.
This is Martin Luther King on steroids. I think you're better than Martin Luther King. I think you are Martin Luther King times 2. One of the great stars of the party, one of the great stars in politics, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson.
Dan, will you be disappointed if he does not speak out tonight?
I was not selected by Donald Trump for his endorsement, and I was looking forward as the next governor of North Carolina to actually work with President Trump because he is going to be inheriting a federal government that has an addiction for money, which has a negative impact on our state, and working with anyone who can help us get low-cost natural gas into eastern North Carolina, which will liberate a big part of North Carolina. So I was not selected by former President Trump to be an endorsed candidate in this race, and obviously what happens over the next few hours is up to him.
It's up to him, and of course, we should note he did not endorse you. He endorsed vociferously Mark Robinson. Thank you very much, Del Falwell. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.